just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission clarifies position on the planned increase in electricity tariffs, says review of multi-year tariff order does not amount to hike in rates. Ijaw Youth Council members shut down Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company office over continued blackout as Enugu residents complain about metering system by Enugu Disco. Abducted chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Michika, Adamawa State, speaks from Boko Haram captivity, calls on government to intervene and rescue him. And huge crowds turn out at funeral in Tehran for Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, killed in a U.S. drone strike on Friday. Plus, business, sports, news from Abuja, the FCT, and later from our London studios. For more information on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com. YouTube.com/channelsweb has videos of all our shows. Still on the electricity tariff issue, we are being joined on the news at 10 by Mr. Sunday Oduton, the Executive Director, Research and Advocacy of the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distribution. It's a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much.
Can you help us clear the air on when the DISCOs will begin the implementation of the increase in electricity tariffs?
Well, I think the first thing we need to all understand is that the Nigerian electricity supply industry is regulated by NERC, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. And under the law, NERC is empowered to issue orders. NERC is also empowered to take certain steps. They will make orders and, of course, declarations that will help to promote efficiency within the industry and to sustain the power sector in the country. So I think we need to commend them for the job they've been trying to do in the last 6 months. And they of course, they have a tough job to do. Now, talking about tariff increase, as of tonight, there's no tariff increase. What we have, people need to understand, the current tariff that our customers are paying started from the 1st of February 2016. And the law that set up all these things makes it very clear that the regulator must, every six months, carry out minor reviews considering foreign exchange differentials that may happen, the parameters, 2, rate of inflation, cost of generation, and other macroeconomic indices. So this has not happened. Now, this is the first time since 2016 that NERC has actually sat down to do all this work, and all they are trying to do is to, number one, do things that will inject efficiency in the system. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Naira and Kobo.
Well, Mr.
This is about cost of production. This is not about any other thing other than what should be the appropriate pricing of the product. And from the order that they issued, there's nothing like tariff increase. Even the review we're talking about, whatever is the outcome of that review will not take effect until April this year.
Well, Mr. Oducho, some Nigerians and groups, including the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, yes, believe that the privatization of the power sector was not properly done, that the companies that bought the assets were not technically competent, or they probably did not have the financial strength to turn things around in the sector. So how would you react to this?
I think we're a nation of about 200 million people. And we have a lot of highly educated people in this country. When we make statements, I can understand the sensitivity. I can understand the fact that Nigerians are not used to paying for utilities. It is not in our culture prior to 2013. I can understand the frustrations, especially when you look at people's income, ability to pay for certain things. But talking about privatization or talking about the power sector, let me start with my own organization, the distribution companies that I represent. They paid a cash sum of $1.4 billion to buy these assets. Nobody will put down such money without having without qualifying for it, without having all the technical capabilities, without wanting it to succeed. Nobody will want to put that money and then you want the system to fail. That's number one. Number two, you cannot talk about any product without talking about the cost of production. Even a product such as bread, you need to know how much does it cost to produce a loaf of bread from the bakery. And the baker, of course, will tell you that he has to pay for flour. The flour mill will have to pay for the farmer that grow the wheat. So if the cost of producing a loaf of bread is 80 naira, should you be selling the same bread for 30 naira? If you do, there will not be efficiency. If you do, it's a matter of time, the system will collapse. If you do, you will not have the needed injection of capital to make it a worthwhile business. And that's what is happening in the power sector. That's why I say we should commend, cooperate, and collaborate with the regulator. This is not about somebody sitting down or the commission just fixing price or trying to increase tariff. No. What we are saying is that how much does it cost to produce electricity in this country per kilowatt hour?
Now, Mr. Alderson, let's bring this conversation home now. Collection of tariffs is another issue.
Yes.
Is the meter asset provider the answer to this going forward?
Well, that's a question for the federal government. That's not for the discourse. We started off with the first one we met on the ground when we came on board on November 1, 2013, was a system whereby people will pay for their meter and they will get refunded via credits. We call that CAPME. That was stopped by the last people that were in charge of the power ministry. And that was replaced by meter asset providers. The meter asset providers are external third-party contractors or businessmen, meter installers and producers. And the intention of the federal government is very good, noble intention. The intention is to increase and enable the consumer or customers to be metered all over the country. But it is not something that will happen all like that overnight. So the map is a good idea, but it will take time for more than 7 million people or households to be metered. So this thing is going on. As I speak, people that live in Lagos Island, even people under Ikeja, where we are now, a lot of people are being metered. But I know that the pace of the metering, the availability, the system itself is not very fast and it's not very efficient. And this is not about blaming anybody. All of us, the DISCOs, the federal government, our regulator, and the map provider have to work together. That's what we have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sunday Odutoye. It was a pleasure having you with us on the News at 10. Now let's cross over to our Abuja studios where Linda is standing by with more stories.
Hello, Melinda. Good to see you. Now, there's been a violent clash between supporters of the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party in Imo State, leading to the death of a man identified as Amajuru Ahamefule in Isu local government area of the state. The Imo State Police Public Relations Officer Orlando Ikoku says the violent clash was ignited after some elected local government chairmen who were suspended by the Ihedioha-led administration claimed to have gotten a purported Supreme Court judgment mandating them to take over office from the interim management committee put in place by the governor, Emeka Ihedioha, in all the local government areas of the state. The state police spokesperson explains that he's yet to receive any directives on the need to enforce the takeover, as he warns warring factions to sheath their swords and adhere to the rule of law to prevent any further breakdown of law and order. Meanwhile, armed bandits have abducted a number of people along Ruma village in Basari local government area of Katsina State. Residents told Channels Television that the victims, mostly traders, were kidnapped about 5 kilometers away from Gobirawa town while returning from the famous Gijibia border market. While the locals put the number of the kidnapped persons at over 30, the State Police Command spokesman, SP Gambo Isa, in a statement, insists that the figure is exaggerated. According to him, the bandits, numbering about 60, armed with AK-47 rifles, blocked Jibia Basari Road, stopped 2 buses, and took the occupants of the vehicles into the bush. He says a search party led by Operation Puff Adder went after the hoodlums and succeeded in rescuing 8 of the victims. Away from Katsina State, a video has surfaced in the social media showing the recently abducted chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Michika local government area of Adamawa State appealing to government authorities to save him from his abductors. Mr. Lawan Andimi was abducted during last week's failed attempt by Boko Haram insurgents to invade Michika. He wants the state government to intervene and secure his release.
I have never been discouraged because all condition that one may find himself is in the hand of God. God who make them to take care of me and to live my life will still work, will touch them. So in summary of my speech, that the request I should summarize it again in English. I am appealing to my colleagues, reverends, particularly my president, Reverend Joel Billy, which is a strong man, man of compassion, man of love, that he can do all his best to speak to our governor, Umaru Jibrila, and other necessary agents for my relief, for my release here. These people have been doing good to me. They are filling me with all what I want to eat. They provide a nice place for me to sleep, blanket and every need. So I believe they didn't do anything wrong to me. I still believe that God who made them to act in such a way is still alive and will make all arrangements. By the grace of God, I will be together with my wife, my children, and all my colleagues. If the opportunity have not been granted, maybe it is a will of God. All people, close and far, colleagues and other wishers, to be patient. Don't cry, don't worry, but thank God for everything.
When the News at 10 returns, Central Bank of Nigeria released its framework on Nigerian payment system risk to guide management of risks. That's in business news. Plus, huge crowds turn out for the funeral of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, killed in a U.S. drone strike. And more from our London bureau in Around the World in 5. Join us again.